Good morning, everyone. Jesus Alvarez here at Be Epic office. Just going live right now with this amazing webinar that we have prepared for you. And just seeing that people is joining right now. I'm going to check also here really quick because I think we are posting it also in Facebook Live. Tony's checking that already. I see that he posted. So it looks like we are live right now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being Be Epic and for everything that you do globally. You guys doing an amazing job. We open October and sales are going up and up and up and up every day. Thanks to you. So everybody can hear me well, so I can continue talking. Let's check here really quick. Okay, let's see, let's check. Okay, looks like everything is good. I can see more people joining. So we're gonna go ahead and start. So meeting right now is special guest, but before that, I just wanna remind you or great things that are happening right now. And as you guys know, we send emails, we send Facebook messages, WhatsApp, Telegram, Instagram, you name it, about the amazing promo that we have with ImmunoCode. And it's just not 1 week, 1 day, it goes for the whole month of October. And this is designed to help people to join this amazing company with this amazing product. If you invite someone and they buy the sign-up pack, which is 2 ImmunoCode, we are removing the $19.95 membership fee. So people can join and they don't have to pay the $19.95. And on top of that, they get this amazing product that everybody's loving it, everybody's talking about it. So goes for the whole month of October. Do not wait. Tell everyone about this amazing product, and that's why we're having this call right now, so we can give you more information. So ImmunoCode sign up pack of the month, October 1st to October 31st, goes all the way. And for new members, new sign-ups, customers, and distributors, if you sign up a new customer, they pay member brand partner price. So they're saving even $10 more. So again, goes for the whole month. Don't wait till the end because this item is a hot item. Okay. Also, again, one of the things that I love about Be Epic is because we at Be Epic, the owner, the founder, the CEO, all corporate, we really care about you. And at the same time that we are doing this amazing promotion, we launched this one that everybody's also going crazy, which is the Big Keto. Now, this one is 70 points and 70 CB. It's a very aggressive promo. It goes only for 1 week. So don't wait. This is for new members and existing brand partners, 70 points, 70 CV. And both of them are global promos, both of them, the ImmunoCode and the Big Keto. Keep in mind, the Big Keto is going to end by the end of the commissioner week, which is next Tuesday. So you have, a few more days, but this is coming to an end pretty soon. So I want to take this opportunity to remind you about these amazing promos that we have right now. And also, before I pass the time to our special guest, just a quick reminder about these promos. Please keep in mind that we are doing this because we care about you. We have leaders in every country, continent, area, islands. So sometimes the promos, you will see different promos because we need to adjust also to different countries where they don't have all the products that we have. So you will see different promos, but again, every promo is with the intention to help every single market, every single leader. So if you see 1 or 2 or even sometimes 3 and they're different, is thinking about those markets, those leaders, those regions, and only with the intention to help everyone as much as possible. Sometimes it's really hard to do a global promo, and we understand that, and that's why we do different ones. For example, for Latin America, sometimes they have their own promos because we don't have all the products, or Africa, they have their own promos, or Europe, they have different promos because different areas that we cover with different leaders too. So thank you for understanding. It's not a typo or anything like that. It's just we trying to help everyone everywhere. And if you want to order more than 3 items, just a reminder, you need to go to your account and you need to verify your phone number. And they will send you a code, you enter the code, and after that, the system will allow you to buy up to more than 3 items. So if you cannot order more than 3, it's because you have not verified your phone number yet. So go to your account and verify your number so you can order these amazing products. So anyway, so I just want to touch bases on that. Tony's doing an amazing job at sending, information, emails, Instagram, Facebook. We're doing better and better on communicating and marketing. We're very, very happy to have Tony, and you will see more and more information when it comes to sharing everything that is going on at Be Epic. So now for me is a pleasure to introduce our special guest, someone that I've been working with him for so many years, and every time that I listen to him, the knowledge, him as a person is just, to me, a blessing to know him. And as you guys know, he had already committed to Be Epic to the point that he created this amazing product just for us, just for you, Be Epic Distributor. This was created for us, and for me, that is an amazing opportunity to be grateful, to be happy for Dr. Hennen, the Putnam, Be Epic, because we are in the right place. So let me tell you a little bit about Dr. William Hennen, PhD in bioorganic and medicinal chemistry, 13 years in drug design and development. Also, 30 sold over, let me check this one, 5 billion worldwide. He's a father, he's a grandfather, and for me, it's a pleasure to call him a friend. So Dr. Hennen, the time is yours. Thank you for this time. Thank you for this opportunity. Super, super excited to hear one more time from you, my friend. The time is you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Jesus. For everybody to realize, Jesus and I have worked together for decades, and he is one of the real important reasons why I joined Be Epic, because he's such a wonderful individual. What I'm going to do today, let me bring my slides up. What I'm going to do today is take a different approach than what I've taken before. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put myself in your position and say, how do I help someone understand why ImmunoCode is so important? And so in order to do that, I'm going to start from the very beginning. And so it'll be a little lighter on technical data, but much more involved in terms of how to teach, how to explain. Now, what you see at the bottom of this slide is support@drhennen.info. And what I want you to do is use that as a way of communicating with me. Now, I won't be able to answer all of the messages that come in, but what I will do is use that information to be able to say, what are the questions in the field that need to be answered? I'll also use it to let you know when I post new documents, new videos, because I intend to post a lot of the videos that we're doing so that they're available not only to you now, but to other people in the future, people that you may want to refer them to. So let's begin. We're going to do an introduction to immunity and to ImmunoCode and answer the question, why should I care? And so let's take a look at why we should care. Okay. There we go. A little technical difficulty there. Okay. What have we learned over the last 2 years? That threats happen and they'll continue to happen. We also learned that young people handle threats better than old people. We've also learned that hiding to avoid threats has its own costs as we look at all of the traumatic stress disorders, all of the suicides, all of the disconnection that we have in the culture now, and so forth. We also learn that it takes time for science to find a solution. Even with warp speed and all of the other programs that were put in place, vaccines took over a year to develop. And that's really very, very fast.
Dr. Hennen,
Yes.
really quick story. Are you sharing a PowerPoint right now? Because I cannot see the.
I am sharing it, yes.
I cannot see anything.
Am I not in that mode?
Yeah, do you click share already? Because I cannot, we see you, but we don't see the PowerPoint. So we see you right now.
Okay,
Sorry about
I'm not sure. Okay, let me do this, Jesus. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, that's what I missed. I've got a host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay. So let me change that really quick. Hold on. Let's put this, let me take this because we have it in the phone right now, and we're gonna change it. You wanna take it? And then we're gonna go live really quick. Okay, we're doing that right now, so you will get it.
Now, do I have to sign out and sign back in, Jesus?
Most likely, I'm just, Tony's checking right now.
Okay, I must be on the wrong side of this channel then. I'm gonna leave and sign back in to see if I can get on the right one. The first link that you sent me, not the one that you sent on the text message, is that the correct one? Okay, Jesus, I'm gonna leave this seminar, leave the webinar and come back in.
Okay, we're just waiting for Dr. Hennen to join so he can share. We can do a really quick change here. We're just waiting for him to come back and share all the amazing information that he has. Okay, you're back. So hold on, Dr. Hennen.
Yeah, I'm still disabled, Jesus.
Yeah, we're gonna enable right now. What's how you shall we?
Do you want to just send me a new link into my Gmail and I'll respond to you from there?
Yeah, try right now.
Okay, I am a host, so let's do a screen share. Okay, do you see that?
Yeah, now we can see it. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. Go ahead, Dr. Hennen. Thank you.
Okay, let's now do you see the right screen?
Yes, now we see it.
Okay, my apologies, everyone.
No problem. Thank you.
A scientist I am, a technologist maybe not so much. Okay, let me begin again. I'm going to do this seminar different than what I've done the other seminars, which were more involved with the technical aspects. Today, what I want to do is put myself into your position as someone is trying to help another person understand the importance of the immune system and of ImmunoCode specifically. And so we want to answer the question, why should I care? Now, for those of you who want the additional information that I'll be providing, you'll see that there's an email at the bottom of this screen, support@drhennen.info. If you communicate with me through that, I won't be able to necessarily respond to each one of you individually, but it'll give me the information that I need to be able to know what your needs are and how and what questions need to be answered. And so, again, very much want to be as user-friendly as we possibly can. You notice that from Jesus's introduction. We want to care about you and put ourselves in your position so that we do our job with you in mind. Okay, so let's begin. What have we learned over the last 2 years? Well, we've learned that threats happen, okay, and they'll continue to happen. We've learned that young people handle threats better than older people. We learned that hiding to avoid threats has its own costs. Post-traumatic stress, we've got disconnected societies where we're now in a much more contentious environment. We just don't feel like we're part of the same family as much as we did before. We also learned that it takes time for science to find a solution. Even when you have warp speed and billions of dollars being invested, it still took over a year to get the first vaccines through far enough where we could actually begin to use them. So what we learned from that is that we are on our own until science can catch up. And even when science comes up with a solution, we've seen over and over again that the rapid adaptation of a living system causes science solutions to become outdated. That's difficult. Now, remember what we had here in this is that we are on our own until science can catch up. And so when we look at the idea of our own immune strength, and we look at all of the things that conventional medicine has for us, the real question is here is, do we want to fight with both hands like the guy in the middle, or do we want to fight with one hand tied behind our backs? So are we going to support our immune system in terms of supplementation, or are we going to depend on the conventional medicine? Well, we really should be using both. And so, especially in the beginning, for every new threat, there may not even be a medical arm available to help us. So we've got to make sure that we take care of our own immunity first, because that's the thing that's going to be the most important to us. Now, it has been estimated that only about 25% of patient complaints can be treated medically. The rest really are dependent on the body's own response. And so, again, it brings out this idea that our bodies are our first and best support. In fact, it's been stated that by one of the great infectious disease immunologists is that if I had a choice between the whole pharmaceutical arsenal and my immune system, I would take my immune system because I've got a living system that can adapt. Now, the other question that people have is, when should I start? Well, let's take a look at it. When you look at conventional medicine, for example, or supplementation, the question is really, when do I intervene? Well, the intervention starts when it's less risky to intervene than it is to do nothing. So let's just take a look at for example, the clogging of an artery. Because surgery is so hazardous, so risky, those kinds of interventions aren't done until the artery is 60% or more blocked, maybe more. We may start drugs earlier than that, but when do we start supplements? Well, we want to start supplements at the beginning because the supplements are there to strengthen and support, not replace, but strengthen and support a normal body system. Normal function of an artery is to be able to allow blood to flow. But if that artery becomes torn and then that tear is patched with a cholesterol patch, it blocks the artery to a degree. If we can keep the artery healthy, we won't need drugs. We won't need surgery. So we start with ourselves first. Now, the next question that people ask is, why do drugs work so fast and supplements so slow? Well, in part because drugs really have more to do with replacing or suppressing a body system. Like an antibiotic replaces the immune system. An antihistamine suppresses the immune system. And because of that, many drugs, because they interfere more than they support, they're oftentimes have toxicity. It's one of the things that drove me from drug design and development, my first 13 years in this profession, to natural products, because I wanted to get benefit without the toxicity. And so when we look at it again, the question is, well, how long does it take to strengthen or support? A lot of that has to do is how much repair has to be done. You see, if it's just switching off something, an anti-something, then you can do that. A baby can do that just flipping a switch, for example, on a light. But if you have to replace the light bulb, okay, that takes a little while. But if you have to redo the circuit, that takes even more time. If we have to actually go all the way back to the power inputs, that's going to take a long time. And so again, the idea here is that to interfere with something is easy. To repair something or to strengthen something, that's more difficult. And in fact, when we look at the recovery rates of human cells, the small intestine 2 to 4 days, okay, stomach lining up to 9. But now when you get down into the heart, we're talking about only 5% is replaced every year. And the skeleton is about 10% per year. The nervous system, the brain and all of the nerves, those cells may have to last a lifetime. So maintaining their quality is essential. Now, another thing that you'll come into contact with, someone will say, I took your ImmunoCode, but I didn't feel anything. Okay, why? Well, part of that may be dependent on your energy demand. So let's take a look at this. Here's energy and over age. If you're a professional athlete, your energy demand may be up on this higher line. You can see, and he's putting out full effort. Now, if you're a construction worker, you may not need as much energy right away, but over a longer period of time. So your max energy, if you will, that you need may not be as high as a professional athlete, and an office worker even lower. Now, if the red line is the normal, okay, so then by age, for example, an athlete becomes old, if you will, having less energy than he needs at about maybe 30, okay, even 25 in many cases. If you look at say, a construction worker, that curve may not pass until he's in his 40s or something, and an office worker into their 60s. But what would happen if we could move that recovery up higher and higher so that an athlete would get maybe an extra year, maybe 2 years? What's that worth to him? Millions of dollars. The construction worker may add 2, 4, 5, maybe 10 years. An office worker, similarly, a longer amount of time because their energy demand is lower. And so as long as I'm above my energy demand level, I won't really notice so much. But aging will diminish that level. And the earlier we start and the longer we maintain the supplementation, the longer we're going to be able to maintain our performance at that high level. Now, another thing that happens to people when they take this product is that they say, I didn't notice it. Okay, well, why didn't you notice it? Well, one of the reasons is because of stress. Now, stress isn't all bad. Eustress is the stress that gives us the enough energy, vibrance, the joyfulness, the get up and go to actually do things. If we have too little stress, too much leisure, too little real involvement or demand, we would be limp, we'd be bored, we'd be dull. If you look at that on a violin, if you loosen the string on a violin to the point where it's relaxed, it's got no sound. It has no value. But so we purposely increase our tension to get ourselves to the point where we feel alive, we're doing things, we're productive. If the stress becomes too much, that becomes excessive, it becomes distracting, drains us, and weakens us. That would be called distress. But again, You have to have enough stress on the violin strings for someone to play it. You have to have enough stress in your life to keep you alive and moving and anxiously engaged in something good, much like the musician you see on the right-hand side here. So stress isn't entirely bad. And in fact, if you look at it, and here's where we come to the idea of why people don't notice things, is that they normalize it. You see, as our supplementation increases, our ability, our cells will repair, they'll become stronger, we'll become more youthful, and our ability rises. As our ability rises, our stress goes down. And then we're going to start feeling bored. We're going to say, wait a minute, I want to do something. I don't want to just sit around like I was doing before. And that is something that many people will notice with this product, oftentimes the first, that they have more energy. And I'll get into that in more detail a little later. But what'll happen is people will say, well, my stress level was normal because I'm normal after all, right? We all think we're normal. I was normal before, my stress is still the same, nothing's changed, except my activity. My activity is higher. My stress level isn't any higher because my ability went up, and so I was able to cope for more stress, so I increased my stress level, so I got to that same level of balance, what is called eustress. Okay, so it's a little technical, but think about it. Think about what you do. If you're bored, life's not fun. If you're overstressed, life's not fun. If your ability diminishes because your tissues are weaker, you will actually cut back in your activity. If your tissues improve in their quality, you'll increase in your activity. Okay. Who feels it the most? Well, those who have lost the most, those who need it the most, maybe even those that pay the most attention. I've had people come up to me and say, I can't tell if it's working because I've not gotten sick. Duh, it's working. It's working. Now, when you look at supplementation, you can look at it in the same way that we can look at taking care of an automobile. We change oil in order to keep the engine running smoothly, extending its life. If we don't do that, then we'll end up with a car in the garage. Now, obviously, the guy who took his car in the garage because it wasn't functioning is going to see the difference very quickly. The guy who's just keeping the oil clean is going to say, well, I didn't notice any difference. Well, that's good because you don't want to have a degradation. You want to have a maintenance, not a degradation. And so supplementation has a different view. It's not like a drug that cures, because a drug that cures is like a mechanic that replaces an engine. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about keeping the engine clean and active. That's what a supplement is for. And when do you do the oil changes? Before the engine degrades. Same with supplementation. We do that before the body diminishes and degrades. Now, as you're talking with people and introducing them to this product, you may want to be aware that the top reasons that people look at making a change in their lifestyle, changing their supplements and so forth, include things like the immune system. In fact, 58% of people said that the reason they're looking for a supplement is because they know their immune system has gotten weaker. They're getting sick easier. It takes longer for them to recover and so forth. The next one would be healthy bones and joints, then digestive health, then heart health. Now, what I want you to understand is that the immune system is involved in every one of these conditions. Not only is it the immune system itself, but the health of the bones and joints is really a function of whether the immune system has allowed inflammation to degrade the joints. Our digestive health is important to the immune system because 70% of the immune system is in the gut. Fix that, your digestive situation improves dramatically. You get that inflammation and so forth out of the gut. Same with the heart. Almost every chronic condition has underlying that condition some kind of an inflammatory process. And whether you're talking about any of the the chronic conditions like the heart, the metabolic system, all of those things have underneath them an immune system dysfunction. Now, you'll remember that we said that earlier on that we noticed that young people handle threats better than old people. And here's a graph that you can look at to see that. Here's the graph of the standard immune function that people have. And here is a graph of how susceptible they are to conditions that the immune system is meant to deal with. Again, the immune system is meant to its proper function, right? A dietary supplement is supposed to strengthen and support a normal body function. What is the normal body function of the immune system? Is to protect us from outside threats and internal problems like cells that go wild. Now, so here's what we're looking at, and we'll see that as people get older and their immune system drops, they have more problems, not only in terms of threats, external threats and infections, but also in terms of internal problems, inflammation, and so forth. Now, what is our objective? Our objective is to take that graph and shift it, to shift the immune function up, shift the susceptibility function down, so that we can live longer, healthier, and in fact, younger, if you want to look at it that way. And so my immune system, instead of being 50 years old, I want it to be 25 years old or 20 years old when it was at its peak. And so you see what we're trying to do is we're trying to hold that pattern. Now, a lot of people say, well, you know, I'm 20, I don't need this. Well, yeah, you may not need it now, but it's like changing oil in the car. You keep that immune system functioning, it's going to be able to protect you better and preserve your life longer. Here's a diagram that outlines what is called the hierarchy of life functions. You know, in everything we do, we have a hierarchy. There are certain things that are more important than other things. And in almost every hierarchy involving life, survival is the most important thing. And so that's right at the base, right at the foundation. You'll see this whether you're looking at a hierarchy from Maslow or you're looking at a hierarchy from a biochemical standpoint. And as you can see from this diagram, the immune system, its function is in survival and defense. Now, you can see the arrows, the energy arrows that are moving up. What that means is that energy here is most important. It's the most critical thing. And we all know that because we've all run the flu experiment and we've all gotten sick and ended up in bed and we didn't have any energy for anything else. Well, let me show you what that looks like on an energy diagram. It means that all of our energy, all of our energy is focused right here. We don't have much energy for the upper functions. We don't have the energy we need to detox. We don't have the energy to repair. And if you think about it, what aging is an accumulation of tissue damage. We didn't have the energy to repair, so we're just kind of getting along, much like we don't repair our house, for example. We may put it off because we just don't have enough money right now to do it. Well, in the body, money is like energy. And if I run out of money, I just can't do it. I have to survive. That's my primary important function. Now, this is why people say that this product gives them energy. It's not that I have more energy, it's that I'm distributing it differently. When we say we're dead tired, what we're saying is that we can't produce, we can't do things. We're still alive, but we're just not, I just don't want to get out of bed. You're alive, but not really living. You're not thriving. Okay, that has to do with when we're in the upper reaches here, the production, the reproduction, those functions require us to be at our top peak health. And so when an immune system is efficient, it uses less energy. Where does the energy go? It goes to detox, it goes to repair. It gives us the energy to go and do, to live in that sense. Now, I want you to look at this diagram and I want you to take a look at what we've noticed in terms of patterns of recovery. So on the left-hand side, we've got quality of life, which can also be called energy. Then time of supplementation over. So how long have you been supplementing? Okay. Supplements are to fill in a deficiency. And so the first phase of supplementation is a replenish phase. And in that replenish phase, what happens is your body starts to get the nutrients it needs and so forth. Now, if you've been in a very deficient state for a long time, what's happened is you have not detoxed. You've been carrying a lot of junk in your system. And about 10% of the people will fall into this situation where they'll say, well, oh my gosh, I've been taking this for a week, 2 weeks now. I feel worse than I did before. What you're doing is you're getting rid of the toxins, all the things that your body has stored, kind of sequestered away because I don't have the ability to deal with it. It's those jobs you never do at home because you just don't have the time. Well, same in the body. I didn't have the energy to detox, so I didn't. Now I do. I got to break open those cases of toxins, and the body now has to deal with it. The liver now has to process that and get rid of it. And that can leave you in a situation where you feel like you're sick. Well, actually what you are is you're toxic. This is what is called a Herxheimer reaction. It's a reaction that happens when your body is going through a repair and cleaning process. That oftentimes will last a couple of weeks. Now, if that happens to you or to one of the people that you introduce this product to, what you can tell them is two things. If you want to get through it quick, stay with it. If it's too much for you, you've got other things you have to deal with, cut back your dose so that the cleansing stage here is stretched out. You still have to go through it, but instead of trying to get through it so quickly that your system is kind of off balanced, stretch it out. And that'll make this dip not go so deep. It'll maybe just go a little bit down. And so you may feel a little out of sorts for a week or two while your toxins are getting released. And then you'll go into what's called a repair stage. Here's where you're replacing cells and getting new cells to come into full function. Okay, so you're repairing the cells that you've got, then you replace the cells. So here where cells are not in good shape, still workable, going to repair them. Then we start replacing cells, and now we get into this high level. We're getting to our maximum ability, maximum health. And at that point, we say, well, I guess I don't need it anymore. And you might have people stop their supplementation. And it'll take a while because the body stores things and maintains itself. But eventually what will happen is that you'll go down again. And so if you want to maintain the high level, you have to maintain the supplementation. So again, if you look at this, you go through a replenish stage, a detox stage, a repair of cells that I already have, then a replacement of cells, or getting some new cells in place of the old cells. And then after that, I want to maintain so I don't end up dropping back where my body had been before. Now, how does ImmunoCode do that? Well, ImmunoCode has different components to it, and it's a very complex formulation. And the question is, well, why so complex? I mean, I've got vitamin C over here. This guy says zinc is all I need, and so forth. And for individuals, that may be the case. It may be that all you need is some extra vitamin C or maybe some extra zinc, but that's not most people. And so you'll have people that'll say, I have these incredible testimonials and so forth. Yeah, because it's 1 out of 10,000 people. What we're trying to do is hit 99 out of 100 people. There'll always be a few that have an excessive genetic situation or are just in an environment that just isn't conducive. And that can be both physical and emotional. But what we want to do is we wanted to make a product that would be universal, that it would be able to help people across the globe. And so because of that, we went across the globe to find the components we needed to make this product. But as you notice, this is stressing immune. ImmunoCode. It's the code of the immune system. It's natural immunity support. Why do we do that? Because the immune system is at the foundation of all health. That hierarchy of health stands on a base of the immune system, the survival functions. So what is the immune system? Well, one of the things that the immune system is that it is intelligent. Remember what we were saying earlier on. Okay, I've got a new threat. After a year or so, I've got a solution for that. But that solution typically is chemical. And a chemical is not alive, but it may answer the need for that particular aspect. But then as the organism or other things manipulate that component, they become antibiotic resistant or whatever, I can't keep up because the germ is alive and developing. The drug is not. And so I have to make a new drug. And then I have to make another new drug and another new drug for each variation. And you've seen that. Now, the immune system is different. It is a living system that's keeping up with a living system. What's amazing to me is not that we die of all these problems that we have out in the environment, but that some people don't. And the reason they don't is because your immune system was able to do the things the immune system does. So what does the immune system do? The immune system has 4 functions. And this is one of the ways that you can kind of introduce people to the idea here, is did you know that the immune system was intelligent? And most people don't think of that in that sense. All cells are intelligent, but the immune system is especially intelligent because look what it has to do. It has to recognize, okay, is this a threat? Is this not a threat? I have to choose a reaction. Okay, if it's a threat, I better get going. If it's not a threat, I need to just ignore it. See, if it's a threat and I ignore it, I got a problem. If it's not a threat and I react to it, then I start attacking myself, or I have these excessive allergic reactions, all this kind of stuff. So it's really important. I have to recognize and I have to choose an appropriate reaction. Then what I want to do is I want to remember it so that I don't have to go through this whole process again. And then a lot of people don't know that a lot of the problems we've had over the last couple of years is that the immune system does not relax. It gets so hyped up that it just doesn't back off. And then you get a lot of collateral damage as the immune system keeps ripping through the civilian population, if you will, trying to find the crooks, if you will, the criminals. But if there are none, and I'm still so focused and so ripping through everything, I'm going to cause a lot of damage. So again, the 4 functions are, I have to recognize whether this is a threat or not. I have to choose an appropriate reaction to that, whether I really act or if I ignore it. And third, I have to remember it. And then finally, I have to relax. So there's 4 R's in the immune function. Now, because the immune system is intelligent, doesn't mean that it's educated or has experience. You see, being intelligent is one thing, but if I don't have an education, I may not be able to maximize the effectiveness of that intelligence. And so what we're going to be talking about is not that I'm going to make your immune system more intelligent. I'm going to make it more educated, give it more experience, if you will. Okay, so let's take a look at how we do that. In fact, how we do it is interesting because if we're going to do something, we have to follow nature. When we start doing unnatural things, we get all kinds of problems. But a good scientist is not an inventor. A good scientist is someone who discovers. We have to obey nature. In fact, one of the greatest scientists of all time made that statement that it was Sir Francis Bacon who said, nature, in order to be controlled, must be obeyed. Nature, in order to be controlled, must be obeyed. We want to control our health. To control our health, we have to obey the nature of our immune system. And so let's take a look at part of what nature did. In the beginning, our mothers carried us inside the placental sac and protected us from all these germs in our environment. But then when I was born, I was naive and I was born into all these millions and billions of germs. So how did nature deal with that? Okay. The way nature dealt with that is that the mother during the whole time of gestation was concentrating her immune cells in her breast tissue. And just as the baby was being born, those cells were broken open and the inside contents of those cells had a record of all of the mother's experiences, all of her immune intelligence. And she transferred that in the form of transfer factors. That's where that name comes from. It is the factor that transferred immunity from one individual to the other. Now, we have a problem. We can't go back to our mothers. And so science is in a situation that said, okay, wait a minute. How am I going to deal with this? And so we kept looking at what are transfer factors? How are they different from other things? And my goodness, what we found is that transfer factors can come from anybody. The transfer factors are universal. And I'll show you some examples of how to explain that in a minute. But what we did is we went to the cow because the cow has an athletic amount of milk production, and colostrum, the first milk where the transfer factors would be present, is there in abundance. Now, why would we get that idea? Well, we get that idea in part because the word vaccine comes from the Latin word vacca, meaning cow, because cowpox was used to protect us against smallpox. That was the first vaccination. The idea here is that man and cows have lived together for so long that they have some of the same organisms or cousins of the same organisms that we can now recognize. If you were to come and meet my sons, for example, you would say, oh, you must be related to him, or my brothers. We look like we're all from the same cookie cutter, but we're not. But we're similar enough that it would look the same. Okay, and so or look recognizable enough for you to know that that was part of this group. And so because of that, what'll happen is that by having the alertness to what the cow has experienced, we can also have additional strength. And again, the idea here is that transfer factor is a universal language of the immune system. So whether they come from man or cows or birds or lizards, they can be interchanged, in fact, have been interchanged. So what are transfer factors? They are the recognition sites. So how do we recognize each other? A facial recognition, a fingerprint. We may look at a vein pattern or a voice print. We look at a signature, or if we want to get real fancy, we look at a DNA match. Now, on the right-hand side, what you see there is a representation, a colored representation of a germ. And so how do we recognize this germ? Well, maybe we recognize the greens or the purples, or maybe the yellows. Maybe we recognize the pattern rather than any individual. See, now here's the problem with the vaccine. If a vaccine only recognizes the green and this organism changes the green, then all of a sudden, I don't recognize that anymore. But in nature makes patterns of everything. And so it allows us to have a broader effect. So natural immunity is better than any synthetic immunity because it is more diverse and more effective. Now, again, if someone asks you what transfer factors are, you could say they're like a library of immune information. It's all of this mother's experience is going to be taught to me. Okay, well, again, why a cow? Well, cow because they produce a lot of colostrum and we can borrow some without damaging or putting the calf at risk. The other thing is that many of the problems that we have in terms of immunity are because of what is called the hygiene hypothesis. The hygiene hypothesis is that we've become so sterilized, and especially in the last 2 years, that we've become so disconnected from our environment that we react to everything with an allergic response. Our immune system has no training, it has no understanding of its environment. A cow lives in its environment, and so it can teach us of the environment that we're no longer connected to. So that's one of the really important aspects of why we would want to get transfer factor from cattle who live in the environment. Now, for those of you looking at this slide, and if I asked you to tell me what that is, you would say a tree in whatever language is your language, right? But this tree was drawn by someone who comes out of the Swahili nation. So how can you read it? Do you know Swahili? No, you don't. But yet you can read it. Why is that? Well, let's take a look. There's a difference between a picture and words. Words are unique to the culture that developed that language. Some we may be able to kind of figure out. If we're English, for example, we may be able to say arbor means tree or shtick or baum, or some of these we may be able to kind of guess. But unless you're know Cyrillic or you know Japanese, you may be at a real loss to figure out what some of those words mean. You see the antibodies. So somebody challenged you and say, well, why should I take this product? Why don't I just take colostrum? Well, colostrum is predominantly antibodies. And so it's predominantly the words. And so the colostrum antibodies are good in a cow. It's cow to a cow, human to a human, horse to a horse, and so forth. But the transfer factors are a more ancient language of the immune system. And so because, like pictures, they are more ancient, they are more universal. And so we can understand them regardless of where it came from. So again, transfer factors are like pictures. Antibodies are like words. And that's why we isolate out of the colostrum the transfer factors so that we can put it in a small amount that does an awful lot of good. Okay. Now, again, what are transfer factors? Well, what is one of the recognitions, one of the problems we have with the immune system? The first thing the immune system has to do is it has to recognize, and to recognize properly. We have here on the right-hand side, this fellow's nearsighted. He's trying to figure out, okay, who is this I'm looking at? Because it all looks, kind of fuzzy to me. So I don't know if you're a friend or foe. So we put some glasses on him and all of a sudden, whoa, I know who you are. Now I can choose a reaction. In this case, we're nice. So he's smiling and he waves to us. So that would be like a pollen or a dander. No big deal. We're just going to, say hi and let it go. But if it was a serious threat, I would now be able to recognize it and act on it. So again, transfer factor is like glasses that help our immune system see more clearly. There are aspects of transfer factor that act like a coach. You can see here, we're starting with a rather flabby fellow, getting some of the flab off of him, giving him some strength, building him up, and whoa, now we got a monster immune system, right? And it's happy. I got strength, I got ability, I can act. Now it's important for you to recognize what's happened here. The coach has trained the immune system, but it's the immune system that has the strength, not the coach, it's the immune system. And so we draw on someone who has previous experience, whether it was our mothers when we were born or the cow, for example, now that has the experience of its environment and so forth, to become a stronger, more alert immune system. Now, that is important because a lot of people will come up to you and they will say, ImmunoCode cured and they'll go on dozens of different conditions. Okay, but I want you to recognize this because you're going to need to know this. You don't want to get in trouble with the regulatory agencies and so forth. You see, only a drug by law can cure. Transfer factor doesn't cure anything, neither does ImmunoCode. But what ImmunoCode and transfer factor do is they help teach your immune system. So much like the coach would have taught these players how to do a jump shot, a dunk, a hook shot. Who decides which shot do. It's the player. The player looks at the strength of the opposition and they look at their own strength and they take whatever shot is the most appropriate for the time. Notice that the coach does not take a shot. It is the immune system that does the curing, not the transfer factor, not all the other things that are in the ImmunoCode. It is the ImmunoCode that strengthens and teaches and educates the immune system so that the immune system can win the battle for us and come out the champion. Okay, now, we've talked about transfer factor and a lot of metaphors so that you have ways of explaining that to people, because very few people really know what transfer factor is. You know, we've all talked about drugs and all this, and we got all these things that come up on the TV, this drug for this drug for that, and all that kind of stuff. But transfer factor is both highly technical, and I'll be publishing some things to help you understand it from a technical basis, but from an effective basis, from a use basis, I want you to recognize that transfer factor is intelligence, it's information. It's different than a vitamin or a mineral or anything that's like a brick or a board. It's more like the blueprint. It's more like the blueprint for an effective and efficient immune system. Okay. If I have a bunch of bricks and boards but don't know what to do with them, I'm not going to build a very good building. So I need that blueprint that transfer factor provides. Now, there's something unique about humans, and let me show you what that is. When we looked at what a mother gives her baby throughout the time that she's nursing, what we find is that there's a high level of what are called human milk oligosaccharides. Why? See, whenever a scientist comes into a situation and observes something, the next question is why? Why is there so much here? Well, in part because we are not a human, we are a human ecosystem. We are not only our own bodies, but we live in an environment, but we also have an internal environment. We have more bacteria in our gut than we do in the rest of our body. And so let's take a look at this. Notice what I'm saying here. It's the newest and oldest immune supplements. Newest and one of the oldest immune supplements. Newest because we just discovered it. Oldest because mothers have been doing this since mothers began, at least mammal mothers, I should say. But let's take a look at this. Human HMOs, human milk oligosaccharides, are found in human milk, but are virtually absent in cow milk. Isn't that strange? Look at this. In the human, 8% of the total weight, the dry weight of human milk, are these human milk oligosaccharides. Most of it is lactose or sugar, energy. There's protein to build. You've got, I guess protein's up here. This is fat. So these are all energy and then protein to build. The oligosaccharides are the third most prominent component in human milk. Oh, okay. Well, let's go get the cow milk. Well, when you look at the cow milk, it's only 1/10 of 1%. It's hardly even there. Okay, now I'm stuck, right? Okay, I give up. The cow doesn't have it. No problem. Well, that's not what scientists do. Scientists look and they look and they look and they look and they try to find it. And in fact, where they don't find it in the cow, the goat, the horse, the camel, any of the domestic animals, the only other places that they find it are on the whale and in the elephant. Now, if you can tell me why the human whale and the elephant have human milk oligosaccharides, you would be a lot smarter than I was. But I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and here's what I've come up with. The human, the whale, and the elephant are all designed by nature to live almost 100 years. The cow, the horse, the sheep, they're only really required to be there for a few years, maybe 6 years, long enough to grow, reproduce, and then become part of the food chain. Well, what that would mean is that this material, these human milk oligosaccharides, may in fact be the oldest anti-aging supplement in nature. Okay. And we saw earlier that as long as the immune system is young, we're young. As the immune system gets old, we get old. And so it's quite likely that that's the case. Okay. I was raised on a dairy farm. I can milk cows, I can milk sheep, whatever you like. But elephants and whales, that's really out of my league. So the scientists give up. The answer again is no. And the reason is because science has a responsibility. And that responsibility is to look until they find a solution. Okay. So technology doesn't stand still. When I first designed immune supplements back in 30 some, almost 40 years ago now, I'd be kind of looking at the phone that you see on the left here. Now, none of us would want to go back to that brick of a phone. We'd want to have, the latest technology with all the bells and whistles and more computing capability than it took to land a man on the moon. And because technology doesn't stand still, we could ask questions, and important questions. Those questions were, okay, I can't get it from the human mother. I can't get it from a domestic animal. It's impractical to do whales and elephants. So how am I going to make it? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what Sir Francis Bacon said to do. Study nature, obey nature, and then you can control it. And here's where the advanced enzymology and biotechnology came into play. We studied how a mother makes the human milk oligosaccharides, and we mimicked it. We essentially did exactly what the mother does in her mammary gland until we figured out how to efficiently make HMOs, or human milk oligosaccharides. So now we had it not only for the benefit of the infants, but we had it for adults as well. Now, this is cutting edge stuff, and so it's expensive. And not many companies are even going to be willing to put that kind of expensive component in a product because it cuts their profit margin. But BEpic was willing to do that in the ImmunoCode. And so that's a credit to the company that I would definitely want you to appreciate. And again, as we talked about earlier, why? Why the human milk oligosaccharides? Why? Because they affect the gut. And in the gut is 70% of the immune system. Now, today we've got so much to cover. We aren't going to be able to do this in detail. But on my site, I will publish a description of how these actually work. And it's really fascinating how these human milk oligosaccharides work. But what is their effect? Okay, their effect is to balance the microbiome. The human microbiome, we have as many bacteria in our gut as we have human cells in the whole rest of our body. The human genome is 23,000 genes. The microbiome is over 1 million. The reason man can live from the Kalahari Desert to the Arctic is because the gut adjusts to whatever the environment will allow for food. And so why is that important? Well, it gives man flexibility. Without that flexibility, we'd have to stay in a very narrow range of our environment. But because we have intelligence, because the immune system is intelligent, because the mother is intelligent, we are able to make these adaptations. And so on the far right-hand side of the screen, what you see here is the lining of the gut. And the lining of the gut has all these little fingers on it that allow for a high level of area so we can get a lot of exchange going on. But if the gut is damaged, then materials start flowing from the gut side into the bloodstream. And that's where a lot of the inflammation happens that causes damage to our metabolic system. It causes damage to our joints and so forth. If we can keep this barrier tight and clean, then the ability of these organisms that we take into our mouth, through our breathing and so forth, would be blocked from getting into our bloodstream and damaging the rest of our body. So very important aspect of this. And like I said, we have to cover this so quickly. There's so much more we can talk about, and I'll do that in some of the other presentations that I'll do. But again, for you, as you introduce this to people, I want you to remember this, is that 70% of the immune system is in the gut. Maintaining gut integrity keeps our bodies clean, If our bodies are clean, then we don't have inflammation and we don't have a lot of tissue damage that comes from that inflammatory process. That would be enough to take home message for this section. Now, beta glucans, an interesting group of molecules that have been used by traditional Chinese medicine for tens of thousands of years, have become just an explosion of scientific development and the ability to understand how those work. But in order to understand, I want you to recognize this, is that you have two parts of your immune system. Part is the adaptive immune system, which we learn by experience, whether it's our own experience or the experience of our mother, who transfers that to me in her transfer factors. Okay, that's the learned part. But there's a part of our immune system that is so critical to our survival that it is coded into our DNA. This is what is called the innate immune system. Innate meaning it's part of us from our origin. Okay. But between the beta glucans in the innate immune system, you'll see that I have a word called epigenetics. Epigenetics is how the DNA are turned on and turned off. Okay, and let me go into this just a little more before I get into that. The innate immune blend is complex. There's at least 8 different components to it. And it's a marriage of Eastern, Native American, and Western science. Okay, so we're taking the best of the healing traditions of the East and West and the best of Western science and combine them. And that's, I said, well, but hey, I've got a product over here. See, people will tell you this. Hey, I got a agaricus product and it's great and wonderful. And I've got all these great testimonials and this other guy's got a reishi. Oh, I got all these. And that's good. That's true. You may be dealing with 1 out of 1,000 people. But we want to hit 99 out of 100, not 1 out of 1,000. And here's where you have to again come back to the idea that the body is intelligent, that the immune system especially is intelligent. I don't know what Ralph needs. I don't know what Karen needs. I don't know what Jose needs, but you do. And your immune system does. And so the immune system will look at what it has to work with and do the best job it can. If all I've got is agaricus, I'll do the best I can with agaricus. And for some, it's going to be fantastic. For others, it's going to be essentially nothing. Same with reishi or kaga or Coriolis or any of these. But what would happen if I gave you a whole smorgasbord? Then your immune system's intelligence can function. Without a choice, you don't need intelligence. There's no choice to be made. But here I'm going to treat the immune system as an intelligence. I'm not going to be acting as the director, like say a medical doctor would have to direct the immune system, right? So the intelligence is outside of the body. We're talking about the intelligence that's inside the body. But in order for that intelligence to function, it has to have choices that it can make. And so Jose may say, chaga is my best. And so Jose's immune system is going to grab that chaga, is going to employ it, is going to get past the first edge of the problem. And then maybe he'll grab some shiitake to back him up, and then maybe some maitake. Karen, on the other hand, may start with Coriolis and then go to baker's yeast and come back to reishi. You see, your body now has a choice. It's more expensive to do these kinds of diverse formulations, but it's also more effective across the entire population. And so again, the reason that the beta glucans function, and Karen may have a red button here that turns on and turns off. Jose may have orange, Ralph may have green. I don't know, but you do. And what the beta glucans do is it doesn't change the DNA, but it changes what's turned on and what's turned off. And by controlling the code, I can create the immune system that you need, or I should take that back. By having this diverse set of controllers, if you will, your immune system can now turn on and turn off your native intelligence in a way that the innate immune system becomes way more effective. And so again, when we look at this, what we're talking about is a trained immunity. It's not that you don't have skill or intelligence, but if you don't have training, that intelligence, that skill really doesn't get applied effectively. And so by having this diverse array of beta-glucan sources, the mushrooms, the yeast, and so forth, we can train the immunity and create an epigenetic education of innate immunity. That's a nice fancy term that you can impress somebody with if you like. Epigenetic, it's fancy, very modern term in science. But essentially what it is, it's training your police force, training your immune system to properly recognize when someone's not acting right, so that I know that behavior, I may not know that guy, but that behavior is wrong, and I'm going to go in and stop it. And that's the important part of the innate immune system. You see, the innate immune system is not so strong, but it's very quick. But the fact that it's quick allows it then to call on the rest of the immune army to come in and help out. And so very important to have both the adaptive immune system in terms of the transfer factors, the innate immune system in terms of the beta-glucans to work together to get the entire immune army up and running and effective. Now, again, let me emphasize that before vaccines and therapeutics, what do you have? And that's a question you can ask your people. It's your immune system. And if someone challenges you and says, ImmunoCode cured by whatever, I want you to stop and think about this. Who cut down the tree, the lumberjack or the axe? It's actually the lumberjack, isn't it? But without the axe, he's not very effective. So the immune system is like the lumberjack. That's where the intelligence is. The axe is the tool. And that's what ImmunoCode is. It gives you that tool to work with. Now, as I said in the beginning, ImmunoCode uses worldwide sourcing to get a worldwide benefit, combining the best of traditional healing with the best of science. And so with that, I'm going to ask you once again to write to me at support@drhennen.info. Send me your questions. Send me your experiences, and share those experiences with your friends. And I will keep you on a list and make sure that you're notified of when the new postings come out, the greater detail of the human milk oligosaccharides and all the other things that we had to brush through so quickly. We spent almost an hour and we just scratched the surface. But what an incredible body of information there is available to us to apply for our own health and wealth. Jesus, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you for the opportunity to share this with people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hennen. You are right. This is just, an hour, a lot of information. There's plenty more. This is what I do when I listen to Dr. Hennen. I go back and listen, because I take notes. My mind goes to one area that he's talking. So I would recommend you to go back to this. And we are recording it and we're going to post it. So go back, because there's a lot of information that he shared with us that it would be good to go back to that. So Dr. Hennen, thank you for your time. Thank you for creating ImmunoCode for BEPIC. We are really, here at BEPIC, we are really, really happy to work with you. We are just, people globally, when we travel, when we have calls, everybody's falling more and more in love with ImmunoCode. And this knowledge, this information comes very, very handy. So again, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. We're going to post this recording too. It's also in Facebook Live. Have an amazing weekend, everyone. Dr. Hennen, have an amazing weekend with your family, and talk to everyone later. There's more information coming. Remember, promotion is still going with ImmunoCode. Now that we learn from the one and only father of transfer factors, the one and only Dr. Hennen. Talk to people and tell them this promotion is, is running. Get 2 of these, and new people, they don't pay the $19.95. So they saving on that again. So have an amazing weekend, guys. And thanks for being BEPIC. Thanks for everything you do every day. globally. Good morning, good night, good evening, wherever you are. Have a good one, Dr. Hennen. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.